Hi everyone, Mon here, Intuitive Soul Savant. Welcome to the channel. It's great to see me back after a week away and many, many months of personal growth. I guess that's all you can say. I'm at a point in my life where I'm not the boss. This is co-creating, and my will steps down. And I'm very aware of divinity's will, and that's where I'm at. And that's many years of meditation, many, many years of realizing that that is our core destination, is that we integrate the human self with divinity. And once you get to that point on the edge of enlightenment, transcendence, it becomes very clear that it's the universe's will, divinity's will, and not mine. And I guess I'm so sick of hitting walls. And after 60 years of hitting many, many walls, it's just so much easier to surrender. And, there's a lot of divine isolation that happens with that because, the energy of myself integrated with divinity, it's special. It's special energy, and the old life is the old life. And this is the new wineskin with the new wine integrated within. So I'm glad you're watching. I know that the algorithms have dropped off when I took time away, and it can be very frustrating for a Capricorn to not be able to make it all happen. But that is the beautiful lesson of being a Capricorn, especially a late Capricorn, is the mastery of being a human being. So I'm really grateful for those that have stuck around, and inshallah, God willing, I will be back every week. But I'm in a year one personally. We are all in a year one universally. But personally, I'm in a year one, and I'm very much feeling that the energy now is opening up for myself after 9 years of deep, deep shadow work, intense shadow work, and inner child work. As a Capricorn, yeah, karma's been around me, all of my life, but it's a beautiful feeling to feel the lift of karma. And that's, ancestral karma, DNA karma, personal karma, whatever karma it is. But it's been a very hard life to get to this point through all that karma. But when it lifts, it's peace and serenity. And I'm not even waiting for the shoe to drop or anything like that anymore. It's just a very beautiful feeling that every day is peace and serenity. And my part in all that is to discern, that's part of mastery, is to have discernment where and when you can put your energy out there with others. And we all know that we are all changing on this planet. We are all evolving on this planet. Humanity is evolving, and some are ahead of the game, some may not even evolve. And, it's the compassion that we can give to everybody regarding where they're at in life. However, discernment is not judgment. Discernment is, I don't like the word self-protection because that sort of gives a person the idea that they need protecting, whereas freedom, when you're in freedom, you don't need protection. But discernment, where you allow your energy and who you allow your energy with, is very, very important to stay in the middle way, in the middle way path. Okay, so I didn't even know I was going to say that, but that's just a little bit extra that I've added in there, because today I just want to talk about our celestial energy today and where the planets are and what's happening. Now, if something I've realized, that the further you go onto the ascension, transcendence, on that evolutionary path, you become more sensitive to the energies that are hitting this planet. And we get that impression when we say to people, wow, did you feel the energy of the full moon? And no, was there a full moon? And that sort of humors me. But I do understand with compassion that to feel the energies, there's a lot of the 3D mundane that has to be moved through. But there is a lot of people that are very connected that I know. And it's great that I'm not the only one feeling the energies of this human evolution. So in Sagittarius season, in December, the planets started to hold hands and connect with each other. The slowest moving was Mars, and it still is behind, leading these other personal planets each through each sign. And so then in Capricorn, the 4 personal planets were all together in a bunch, right? A stellium, close degrees. They were crossing over, in front of the sun, behind the sun. And, that's very intense for us because the personal planets are what affect us on a day-to-day basis. And they will make aspects to our sun, our own personal planets, right? So through Capricorn, they all started to bunch up and come together, very Capricornian energy through Christmas and the New Year. And now the planets have ingressed into Aquarius. Now, we know on this channel that Pluto is in Aquarius, and Pluto is going to be transforming the collective for this DNA evolution that is taking place in the next 20 years and ongoing into the next couple of thousand years of the age of Aquarius. So currently, as I make this video, it's a Saturday on the east coast of Australia, Sydney time. Our date is the 24th today. Now, the sun is at 4 degrees of Aquarius. Now, Pluto is at 3.5 degrees. Now, we know Pluto moves very slowly. So we've already had the sun conjunct Pluto. Now, this was in the last week. Now, we also had a very intense solar flare. So, as I said, if you're sensitive to the transformation of these energies, then you would have felt that. Last Wednesday, I stayed resting all day. I had no energy. Thursday, I had 2 healing clients in the morning and was supposed to get to the gym for a personal training session. No, that did not happen because I needed to go back down and rest because I had a later afternoon healing client. So we really need to get to that place where the old paradigm of our mind saying soldier on, push through, that's now defunct, okay? And we need to listen. Nothing drastic is going to happen when we get in alignment with the energies that are evolving around this planet. So the sun has already conjuncted Pluto. Now, Mercury is in late 5 degrees of Aquarius. So Mercury has already conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. Venus, 8 degrees of Aquarius. And so Venus has already conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. But the big news that many astrologers are discussing is the Mars conjunct Pluto, because they're just strong energies. Now we know that that Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio, and Mars was the ancient ruler of Scorpio. So the two, have something in common, but it's very, it can be very volatile energy. Not like Uranus, where it's like bang out of the blue and that sort of thing. It's more with Mars being a personal planet. Mars is only at 0.5 degree in Aquarius. So we've got another 3 degrees, which is next week, the 26th, 27th of January is when Mars is going to conjunct Pluto. Now, we know that Mars is an activator. So as Mars transits through the horoscope, the astrology wheel, Mars is activating. It's either activating our planets in our own natal chart, or it's activating the planets that it conjuncts generally in the tropical horoscope. Okay. So, my advice for myself and for anybody is just to keep an eye on the temper. This is where your tolerance and compassion is required, because we're all dealing with this energy. We are dealing with each other. So forewarned is forearmed. And if you are a human being, you know how it feels after you've let go on somebody and projected a whole lot of harshness onto another human being or situation. And after you calm down and you cool down, you feel guilty, because as human beings, we have consciences, right? So save yourself all that worry of beating your own self up because you made a mistake and allowed that energy to overcome you, rather than you mastering that energy of the Mars conjunct Pluto. Right. Now, I think it's very interesting that all of these personal planets are bunched up and moving together the way they are. Because if you've been keeping an eye on the planets, you will know that this year is a big year, because the outer planets are all moving into different signs and into different elements. All right. We've been in the earth and the water. We're going to be moving into fire and air. And fire and air are a lot quicker energetically, more so than the earth and the water. All right. So fire and air, change, quick change, moving along. And also astrologers, tarot readers, spiritual teachers are talking about the fire horse energy that kicks off in February for the Chinese New Year and the new moon in February. So the energy is going to be changing for all of us this year. And I'm already seeing it. There's people that I've known in this town that are moving to other towns. They're early. That's very early for me that they're already going. You will feel the energy yourself, that in the last year or so, we've felt like we're walking through mud. We've felt like there was something new coming, but it just didn't get any traction. Well, this year we will get the traction. And so be very open to where your soul self and divinity is placing you. Let go. Learn what you've learned through the energies going through the water sign. Flow with it. All right. So next week, we've got that Mars conjunct Aquarius. Forewarned is forearmed. We can even know this, and it can come from left field. Don't give yourself a hard time. We're human, and it is very, very difficult times as a human being, because these energies, I've never experienced these energies before. And, I was a very early awakened person, and, it's really starting to amp up now. And I'm glad I did the work that I did. So we've got, as I speak, we've got Jupiter retrograding Cancer. Now, Jupiter is at 18 degrees retrograding, so it's already squared Chiron. Chiron is 23 degrees in Aries, and Chiron's a slow mover. So we will have Jupiter again when it is moving forward, squaring Chiron in Aries. All right, and Vesta, but I'm not going to talk about that today. Saturn is at 28 degrees Pisces. And Saturn will be moving into Aries with Neptune. Neptune is at 29 degrees and 56 minutes, so only 4 minutes away from moving into Aries. And that is later this month, February, all right? But the two, Saturn and Neptune, will be conjuncting together in Aries at 0 degrees. And this is big news because this has not happened in Aries, Neptune and Saturn, for thousands of years. Okay? So it is big news. Neptune is the dreamy planet. We know that Saturn is the materializer. So we're all having the opportunity, and Aries is the pioneer in that Mars energy of full force into what we want, but we've got to take it easy. It's got to all work together like a clock. You're the horse. Pull those reins back so you don't race ahead and hit a wall. Allowing life to come to you. Yes, you have the intentions. Yes, you have the dreams. Yes, you have the desires. But divinity knows you. Divinity runs through you. So divinity knows what you would like, what you desire, but you've got to allow the universe to have the first move, and then it is a beautiful, flowing co-creation. Now, the nodes of the moon are still in Pisces and Virgo, North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo, and the nodes, as I speak, are at 9 degrees. Now, Neptune and Saturn will move from Pisces. All of those that have had their first Saturn return in Pisces, second Saturn return in Pisces, you will still be feeling the energy as this stellium of personal planets ingresses into Pisces after Aquarius. So they're all going to be staying bunched up right through till April, Aries season, when these personal planets, and then the moon as well, that's 5, they join Chiron in Aries. As I said, Chiron's at 23 degrees, and they will join Vesta. All right. So this is going for about 5-6 months. These personal planets, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, all bunched up together. Because sometimes, Mars gets ahead of us and then it has to retrograde. Mercury can get ahead of us and then it has to retrograde. But that's not what's happening. The retrograde for Mercury is coming in a couple of months. But really, we are feeling this very personally as we go through the last signs, Sag, Cap, Aquarius, and Pisces, right? Already for those outer planets to move into their positions for, at least 7 years for Uranus, 14 years for Neptune. Pluto has, another 18 years through Aquarius. And then Chiron's going to be moving into Taurus. So there's big changes because we know that the outer planets are genetic sort of planets in the sense that they affect the whole, okay? And they affect different groups that have been born together, different decades, different genealogies of family systems, all right? So it's a really, really interesting time astrologically, all right? So, the other thing I want to discuss is all of these planets in Aquarius opposing Leo, because, we know that the fixed signs, Aquarius, Leo, Taurus, and Scorpio, are fixed signs, and they take a little while to change. And I've been observing the Leos around me, and some of them are in a real mess. And I can already see where changes are required in their personal growth, but they seem to be going in the opposite direction and really digging in to the old templates of themselves, all right? So Leos, it is scary to change, yes, and it can be challenging, and there's a lot of feelings and emotions that come up. But the longer that you push this energy away, the harder it's going to be for you. And the interesting thing is that these signs, these fixed signs, they know that they've got to change, which gives you an insight into fixed energy. It knows it has to change, but it's It's like holding on, white knuckling it until it has to. But as a Capricorn and Karma and Saturn, I know that, that's just futile because you're making it harder for yourselves. All right. Scorpio, I find, is a fixed sign. They're born to go through these transformational changes. And, Taurus, they say, yes, very stubborn and what have you. But Taurus sees the joy that can come and the comfort that Taurus desires and the security that Taurus desires. So they see that change will get them back to that point where they feel stable and secure again. But with Leo the leader, Leo the lion, and Aquarius as well. But I really believe I've got a Leo rising. I've got a Leo father, a Leo grandmother. I've got a whole line of Leos through my ancestral lineage. And they can be very, very strong, and they don't like to be wrong, and they don't like to say they're sorry. And, this is an impediment to their growth. So just a word of warning, because you've got Pluto opposing you. Now you've got all these personal planets that are going to oppose your sun, or if you've got the moon in Leo or any other personal planets, I have or an angle. I have an ascendant. So, try and flow with this energy. That's why people like myself make these videos, to hopefully trigger awareness in others' hearts, because we all have the truth planted in our hearts at birth, okay? So I think that's all I really wanted to talk about. I'll be back next Saturday, and we're actually going to talk about Neptune in Aries for the next 14 years and what that energy is all about. But I don't think we can actually sort of understand that without the triggering of Saturn moving with Neptune for a year or so. All right. But I will discuss Neptune in Aries. And I'm quite excited about that, because that'll be my 9th house. And that's all about beliefs and higher learning and travel, all those things that I live for and have always lived for. So as long as I don't end up in some crazy cult, I'll be fine. All right. So it's very nice to be back. It really, really is. And I hope more people get to see the video. How about we ask a challenge, and you put in the comments box what house Neptune, whole sign house, okay, because it may be in the house before, the way that Placidus works in your astrology chart. But just let's talk about whole sign house, all right? Pop it in the comments. Could be sweet, short and sweet. 9th house, Neptune transiting into, and then I've got some idea of who I'm speaking with. But I do know the algorithms have dropped, and there was only, I think, 4 or 5 people that saw last week's video. But that's okay, because I'm not attached to this anymore. It's taken me a little while to get to that point, as my self-worth, gained as I came back to my initial self-worth that I was born with. How about that? And thanks to Pluto transiting Capricorn in my 6th house, there was some big, big lessons, and I feel very comfortable in my body and the happiest I've ever felt in my whole life. And I don't want to make myself cry, but it's very true. So, it's a beautiful experience to work so hard on yourself and then see the rewards, because it is hard work to transform as a human being and to leave behind all of the patterns that were obstructing that peace and serenity that I discussed about. All right, well, thank you very much. I'm a little emotional, and that's okay. I love my emotions these days. So thank you all, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.